Hey y'all, welcome back. It's Queen of O'Hara. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be doing the recap of Seeking Sister Wife season 3. We are already at episode 8. Can you believe it? Full House is the name of this episode. Woo! Quarantining at the Snowden's house. Talking about a family of 9 quarantining together. Imagine going on, we'll say like the second date, because Chrissy and, Taylor went on a visit, never went, but, imagine going on a second date and then quarantining with them. Isn't that a way to get to know somebody, right? So I don't think things were working out too well during quarantine at the Snowdens, right? But of course, if you were like me, you were waiting on this episode to come out so you could try to put together the real life events that have been happening and alleged events that have been on TMZ here lately about the Snowdens. So I'm trying to like piece the puzzle together because, as you remember, last week I was talking about Dimitri being on TMZ. Him and Crystalline had a DV case, but it was dismissed for lack of evidence. And now there's all these accusations coming out. We have other, right. Taylor straight up asked to move in. So, okay, so they're quarantined as a family of 9. The women, Chrissy and Taylor, the new sister wives, they did the 21 Apollon diet, or as I like to call it, getting Dimitri's dick diet, okay? The D diet. So they did that. So now they're all able to be intimate, but they got a house full of kids. I mean, there's 5 kids in that house. So how much, get down time is anybody really getting? So when the quarantine happened, as it caused financial problems for a lot of people all over America, and the Snowdens were no different. Okay. So Dimitri said, first, clients slowed down and then no work whatsoever. Lord have mercy. You done got these. Now you got 3 women and 5 kids to take care of. And all hell has done broke loose in the world, right? So he said he was doing whatever to make money for the family, doing side gigs, that him and Taylor would be out all day delivering groceries while um, Ashley and Chrissy stayed at home with the kids. Well, I guess maybe Taylor didn't take kindly to delivering groceries or whatever. So she went to go visit family. Now, I'm telling y'all, this is deja vu right here, okay? She went to go visit family in Texas and never came back. Now, this is very reminiscent, if you remember, of how they lost the other sister wife, Vanessa. She went to go visit her family, and when she came back, it was to pack her shit up and leave. But Taylor, they're going to mail her stuff to her. She said, just box up the closet and send it to me. So Chrissy says that she misses Taylor, but she agrees that there's a lot less tension in the house without Taylor because Taylor demanded a lot of attention and she wanted Dimitri's attention. So, in order to be a good sister wife, you can't really be selfish and demanding, right? And especially not during quarantine. I know people that have been married for years and years that ended up getting a divorce after being quarantined for, 6 to 8 months together. I'm sure you have some friends that broke up because they couldn't take it, right? So, Dimitri, um, basically it wasn't really a mutual thing, but he made it sound like it was. But he comes back and he's like doesn't want Ashley or Chrissy to be upset with him because he had this conversation with a Taylor and didn't include them. But it wasn't really his decision. Like Taylor was like, I'm out here in Houston, I'm doing henna, which I asked my friend that I was watching it with, I was like, who is getting henna done during the quarantine? Like, I I know people that weren't even getting their roots done. So who's like, oh yeah, we're supposed to be quarantined and I would really like to get some henna done. But anyway, God said get henna. God said go. So yeah. So she is enjoying doing the business and I think she just had a change of heart, like Vanessa. It wasn't for her. She tried it, she didn't like it. She don't want to try it again. She ain't going back, right? So Taylor's gone. Now it's just Chrissy in the house with them, and Chrissy and Taylor are really good friends. So, well, I mean, we know how honestly, like we know how that shit ends allegedly, right? But we'll see how the rest of quarantine plays out on the show. So going to the Joneses. Haven't really heard a lot from the Joneses the past couple of episodes, right? Because we've been in, Mexico with the Merrifields. But so the Joneses, Tasha and Cidian, who has on more makeup than most women that I know. So Tasha is video calling a new potential wife, Alexandria, which Alexandria has the most beautiful blue eyes. I have to say she's a really, really nice looking lady. So he is talking to her and he asked Tasha, does she want to be included? So I guess he's been talking to Alexandria for a couple of weeks on the internet and chatting with her and whatnot. And so, they said generally they like for Cidian to go out with the women and make a connection. And then, they introduce them to Tasha to see if Tasha likes them and, could potentially see them being a sister wife. So Tasha's on the call with the new potential wife with Cidian, and Alexandria is very adventurous and she's a tour guide or something, I believe. And so she is like actually out in the wilderness while she is doing the video call with them. And Alexandria says, it's beautiful that you love someone or something so much you want to share it. She's new to polygamy. Okay. I like that new guac dip that Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg have the commercial for. I like the new guac dip. I want to share the guac dip. I've told all my girlfriends that I know that enjoy avocado stuff about the dip. My husband, no, no, not so much. Am I interested in sharing my husband? Okay. Unless like you like to clean baseboards and, watch kids and do laundry and, I don't know. But no. So good for the Joneses. They have a bite. So Cidian's going to go out with Alexandria. We'll see how next episode, how that date turns out. I don't know. Personally, I've said it before. I think Cidian should that Tasha approach the women because I find her more likable than him. But I'm just not Cidian's not my cup of tea. So that's the Tasha. That's the Tasha face. I love Cidian. So I'm glad you do, girl. I'm glad you do. But actually, though, Tasha did have a good point because she was, that ain't his real name. And I will say it every time. I want to see a birth certificate. I want to speak to his mother. I want to know a little bit of origin about that name. So, yeah, we'll see where that goes. Hopefully that'll go well for them. So the Winders, they have that new baby. They're still talking to Kimberly from North Carolina. So they have her come in for a visit and they have her stay at a hotel, which is a little bit different than what we've seen with the other families. But keep in mind, though, the Winders are more, they're doing it for religious reasons. They're more traditional. You can be a traditional polygamist. So they're having her stay in a hotel. So the next day after she arrives in town, she comes to the house for a visit. And you know what a witty conversationalist Colton is. So luckily, Kimberly seems like she's pretty funny and has a personality and can carry a conversation. So yeah, she is just visiting with them and getting to know them. It's a very short visit. She's only going to be there for a couple of days. Um, but what I found interesting was that her and at this visit, her and Colton were never going to be alone. So only group conversations. Now, when she arrived, she did hug both the sister wives, and they did like a little the side Christian hug that the Duggars, talk about the little side Christian hug where the fronts aren't touching because that might make you lust after someone, right? So a little side hug. And yeah, but he said that they will never be alone on this visit. They'll not even have a private conversation without one of the wives until a commitment is made. Well, Lord, I am going to go ahead and bet that he does not sleep with his wives until they actually get married. Whereas, the Merrifields, as soon as Garrick proposed, he wanted to do the deed with Mama Bert, right? So, but I think the Winders are more traditional. They are doing it for religious reasons. So I think that they will end up waiting until there's a commitment. Pretty much the thing about this, though, is whether or not Colton is going to have a spark with Kimberly. So that has yet to be determined. When they did ask him in his one on one interview if he was attracted to her, he did say that she was very beautiful, but he's really, really boring. It's hard to believe he has two wives and is maybe possibly a three because, you know, but I don't know. I think, and they were talking about this, and I think it's a good point. That Colton, Tammy, and Sophie, that are already, currently that's the family. They were saying they just didn't want to ruin what they already had, and I think that that is a really good point because they have a good dynamic, or at least it appears to be that way from what the video shows. So it's going to be, definitely interesting to see if they choose to have Kimberly come out for another visit, or really even how the rest of her visit goes. Or what if Kimberly decides that she doesn't, that they are just too dull for her, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Now, we didn't see the Merrifields at all this episode because, we've been with them in Cancun, it seems like for months, right? Can you hear the bark? Everywhere I go, the dogs bark. So, so we just seen the preview for the Merrifields for next season or next episode, and it seems that Danielle waits until her and Garrett get home to start bitching him out for having sex with Roberta that first night when she went to go brush her teeth and put on her pajamas. So, like a true wife, she waits till they get home from vacation to raise hell. I'm glad I am not in Denver with them. So we see the Clarks this episode. We haven't really been hearing a lot from the Clarks. Last episode they finally, cut ties with Kay, and they're not waiting for her to come around anymore. They've been waiting for Kay to come home. She got mad because Vanessa told her the microwave was dirty and she left, and that's all she wrote. So Kay would much rather work two jobs than be with the Clarks. So the Clarks, they took some time to grieve, and now they're ready to mingle. So Gerard, which I'm sorry, I don't trust him. I think he got his wife to agree to polygamy so he didn't have to cheat. Just my just my opinion. Okay, I could be wrong. I'm sure he's a lovely man, but he just happens to know this young lady from the car club that he's in. And so Emily comes over so he can look at her car and starts asking questions about polygamy and, like, oh, you were in a relationship while you had a wife? And what's that all about? And, so they gonna go out. Emily and Gerard and Vanessa. Vanessa all like taking them out drinks in the garage. She knew what was going on. She knew. She was like, "Oh yeah, get me another young sister wife. Come in here and do these dishes and watch these four kids." Right? Because she genuinely seemed upset that Kay left, but she seemed even more upset when she's standing at that sink washing them dishes. Like either last episode or episode before last, she's like, and she is thinking to herself, I shouldn't have said anything about that dirty microwave. Because now you done lost your whole housekeeper and nanny. Okay. Y'all have to go find another one and start off from scratch. Ooh, I do love me a good episode of Seeking Sister Wife. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, if you are not already a subscriber, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave me a comment. Let me know. What do you think? Do you think Chrissy is gonna, do you think her and the Snowdens are still together? You think she left? We've already heard that she left, but like, do you think there's going to be more drama through the quarantine with them all locked down together? What about the Joneses? How do we think City and State with Alexandria is going to go? He did mention that they had a really good connection. They talk about things like biology and I forget what else he said, but not things that I generally would think about. Oh, yes, we have stimulating conversation about biology. The Winders, do you think there'll be a spark with Colton and Kimberly? I don't think Colton has a spark for the wives that he has. I think you have to kind of like use those hand warmers on him. Those warmers you put in your pocket. I think you have to like kind of put those all over him, or maybe a nice heating pad for Colt to get a spark. But we'll see. I can't wait. Please tune in next week for my recap of Seeking Sister Wives. And I will see you next time. And remember, do something nice for yourself and something nice for someone else. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.